Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to be introducing my new exotic garden on the Isle of Wight. First of all, I'd like to apologise to my subscribers. Obviously I haven't posted in a while. I've been obviously very busy relocating to the beautiful Isle of Wight. First of all, I'll do a few statistics of the new garden here. In terms of climate and how far away we are from the coast. Then I'll introduce my front garden, and then finally I'll introduce my back garden. So where is the beautiful Isle of Wight? Well, the Isle of Wight is the largest island of England. It's about 4 miles or 6 kilometres off the mainland, and it's in the middle of the coast off the mainland. There's lots of things to do on the island, and there's about 140,000 people that live here. So I thought I'd start off with a few statistics about the microclimate here as well. So how close to the sea? Well, it's about 300 metres or about 1,000 feet where I actually live here. The altitude is about 19 metres or 63 feet above sea level. And the average rainfall is 858 millimetres or 33.8 inches of rain a year. December is the wettest month. It has 68.6 millimetres or 2.7 inches of rain. And July is the driest month with 33 millimetres or 1.3 inches of rain. Sunshine hours, it's one of the sunniest places in the UK. Where I live, it's about 1,700 hours annually. 7.4 hours of sunshine a day in July, making it the sunniest month. In December it has just 1.8 hours of sunshine. So the next town along, Shanklin, is actually the sunniest place in the UK, where it frequently has over 1,900 hours of sunshine annually. So obviously it means that we can grow lots of plants that would require obviously lots of sun. The coldest ever temperature where I actually live here, which is near Sandown, is -10. That was way back in January 1987, and well, obviously we don't have those temperatures here every year. Last year I think I recorded about -2 as the absolute coldest. And I can show you that on the thermometers that I have in my garden. So next, what I'd like to do is introduce you to my front garden. So here's the front of my garden here. I've got just a small garden at the front and the back. I've downsized recently, but obviously with the wonderful microclimate here, it means I can grow some amazing plants that I couldn't in my old Birmingham garden, where of course it gets a lot colder. So one of the first things you'll probably notice is the wonderful Echium pininana with the tall blue spire there. It's in the forget-me-not family, and it's a biennial, which means it only lives for 2 years. So this plant will actually die once it's produced seed, and then the seed will fall to the floor and then obviously produce plants in the future. We've also got some Chamois palm. So of course some of these plants did come from my garden in Birmingham, and you may recognise some of them yourselves, but obviously I couldn't bring them all. I did sell quite a lot before I made the move. So that's the Chamois palm there from Morocco, which is a hardy palm. Now amazingly, this agave attenuata, which is one of the most tender agaves, did survive out here. On the very coldest night I just chucked some fleece over, and there was some marking on the old leaves with the cold, which I did cut off, but as you can see it's definitely survived the winter. I've got a Agapanthus ventna hybrid there, which is a hybrid grown on the beautiful botanic garden, Ventnor Botanic Garden on the island, which is on the south, and a yucca. I think that one's colour guard. That's quite hardy too. On the whole, I'm trying to grow half hardy or tender plants to utilise the microclimate here, but of course I have added a few hardier ones so that I'm not too restricted. This gorgeous plant here is polygala, and you can see here it's got the pea-like flowers here, purple, which are absolutely amazing. So if I try and do a close-up of that, there you go, absolutely stunning, much loved by bees, and that's from South Africa in the wild. So I've got some gazanias and also some lampranthus, which are also from South Africa, and you can see I'm growing these on top of a wall with hardly any soil, in gravel, so obviously they're like full sun and drainage. And this area here is west facing, so it gets late afternoon and evening sun. So these gazanias and lampranthus will be flowering very shortly. So the gazanias will have yellow and orange flowers, and the lampranthus will have a kaleidoscope of colours really, pinks, purples, yellows, oranges, that kind of thing. Obviously being close to the sea, it's always great to have a few shells and a little bit of driftwood in a seaside or coastal garden. So you can see here is one lampranthus, which is obviously orange, closed up at the moment because the sun's not shining directly on it, but once the sun moves round, those flower buds will open beautifully. So yeah, more succulents and a lotus there. So all of these have survived the winter outside. So I'm experimenting growing bougainvillea here because we don't really get frost up against the house wall. This one I've bought recently and hasn't been outside this winter, but most of the other plants here have. So here is a tibushina, which did overwinter, and that has purple flowers in September and October. Same with the aeonium that overwinters outside, the aeonium Schwarzkopf. And amazingly, Brunsfelsia, or yesterday, today and tomorrow, overwintered outside here with no protection, which amazed me. Equally amazing is my Schefflera, or umbrella plant, which is a common house plant, and that survived outside here with no winter protection whatsoever. And this is what's standing in the pot. It's about 1.2 metres or 4 feet in height, so it's an absolutely beautiful thing. So what I'm trying to recreate here is like a Mediterranean vibe, with lots of blue glazed pots and terracotta. This amazing bromeliad here is Echmea recurvata, and this is the large form, and you can see it's just producing some flower buds now. So it has these lovely red bracts. It actually looks redder than actually on the video, which is incredible, and soon there'll be pink and blue flowers opening on those. There's a mangave there, and sedum nusbusianum, and Pelargonium enlicerianum, Tillandsia bergeri, which have some flower buds there now as well, so those have been flower shortly. Those will be blue. And then I've recently bought a Jasminum polyanthum, which needs a sheltered spot and flowers in the spring or early summer, so I've put that near the front door. So here is a Hardenbergia violacea. I've just recently got that as well, so that hasn't overwintered outside, but the Argyranthemum lolly has, together with Metrosidros excelsa variegata, and also a Clerodendron ugandense with blue butterfly flowers. So that's absolutely amazed that that's overwintered here. Also that's overwintered is the Plumbago capensis or auriculata with the lovely pale blue flowers, and also the pelargonium here, which has magenta pink flowers. Now this bougainvillea did overwinter outside. I've checked, it's obviously defoliated in the winter, but the stems, I've been scratching away at them to check for greenness, and there is green growth there, so fingers crossed it comes back. But obviously I thought I'd experiment with that, being as I'm so close to the coast. Here is the jacaranda bonsai blue, which obviously defoliates in the winter and should be coming into growth very shortly. So we've got some orchids here, so that's Dendrobium kingianum from Australia with fragrant flowers. And then I've got a Solandra maxima, which is a climber with big trumpet flowers, and an epiphyllum, which amazed me. That's overwintered outside too. That's known as the orchid cactus. This is a red-flowered mandevilla. Again, it lost its foliage, but you can see here that it has got some red buds on the shoots, so that should be coming back very soon. And then the hardier Mandevilla laxa there. Just on the other side, I've got Agapanthus lilliput and Campsis radicans, which will trail over the railing. I've got the South African tender kingfisher daisy, or Felicia amyloides. So again, that overwintered outside. I've then got my Strelitzia regina, or bird of paradise. That used to overwinter in my conservatory back in Birmingham, but now it survives outside with no protection whatsoever. And I think I've got about 5 flower buds just coming up here as well, which is amazing. So there is the Echium again for height, which is incredible. And that must be now, oh crikey, it must be about 10 feet, I would say, or 3 meters tall. I've also got a grapevine there, which I'm going to plant, an edible grape, and then this parlour palm, or Howea forsteriana, and that has overwintered outside with no protection at all. I'll cut off the damaged leaves, but it will soon throw out lots of new fronds with a bit of feed. So that really then is the front garden, and obviously that will change over time, like any other garden does. And now I'll introduce you to my back garden. In fact, just before I introduce you to my back garden, I thought I'd show you what the lowest temperature here was recorded last winter. As you can see, it was minus 1.6. So, and that's just for very brief periods, so it never freezes here. You just get a light frost, if anything, and then the temperature bounces back up, and it's not for many days during the winter that it does that. So yeah, that's why we can grow all these wonderful plants here. So here is my back garden, and for this garden I'm aiming for a tropical style. So the front is Mediterranean, the back is more tropical, and I want it more sort of modern, lots of clean lines and lots of architectural plants. As you can see, it's a very small garden, but obviously there's so many lovely things to do on the island. I don't actually mind that, but I'm still making sure that I've got plenty of nice plants here, of course. So the front garden is west facing, this is east facing, and the white wall here is south facing, so that gets the sun all day. So it's quite a sunny garden. So here I've kept this scarlet pimpernel here. It's a wildflower. Some people might consider it a weed, but I think it's actually really beautiful. It used to be a type of Anagallis, and it has these orange red flowers, much loved by bees. There was just a few small plants here when I first came, and this rose was one of them, red flowered rose. But at the base of that is something I find much more interesting, which is this plant here, and that is Begonia sempervirens, which is a bedding plant. And when I moved in March last year, I discovered that this was growing through the soil, and at first I didn't know what it was, but then I realised quickly as it grew that it's a tender begonia. So it just shows you how mild the climate is here. So you know, it doesn't often get below freezing here, and that's why this begonia survives, which of course is music to my ears, because it means we can grow these fantastic exotics here. So you can see here I've got various musa, and I'll do a video on that for next week on all the bananas that I have in the garden. And the Persicaria red dragon, which I got from Will Giles' his garden in Norfolk, oh gosh, many years ago, maybe 15 years ago now. Washingtonia palm has come with me, and this cycad revoluta, I've actually planted it in the ground, so that's overwintered outside, no problem at all. I've had that for many years. You may recognise that from my last garden in Birmingham. Next to that is a peony, which was left over from the previous owners, and as you can see it's in bud now with pinky red flowers. Amazingly, some of my bromeliads that I brought over, my neoregelias, which you may remember again from my previous videos, overwintered with no protection. This is on a south facing wall of course, and it gets very hot here, but it's still amazing. I've got a phormium here with a fantastic purple foliage, which of course is an evergreen, and also I have a cordyline here. This is Torbay Dazzler, and eventually they'll make about 3 meters tall. These are from New Zealand and often referred to as the cabbage palm, but in fact they're not palms at all. They're related to lilies, so they're in the Liliaceae family. Another banana, which I'll come on to in my video next week, and then another cordyline here, which is Red Star. I do have some other cordylines here actually. This one here is called Charlie Boy, the pink variegation. So just go on to the upper level. Obviously it's a tiered garden. So this lawn is artificial, and this was actually here before we moved in. I wouldn't have chosen an artificial lawn before, but obviously it does save me the job of having to regularly mow, and obviously I'm going to leave it actually here because it does form a good foil to the plants. So there's a cordyline here, which is overwintered. I can't remember the name of that one on the top of my head. Another bromeliad overwintered. I wanted to test the hardness of all these plants with no protection. So this colocasia or elephant's ear survived the winter with no protection at all. This is Colocasia esculenta fontanesii, and that's hardy to reputedly -5. Here is a Tradescantia pallida purple heart, and again no protection, as well as the Alocasia odora. Next to that is a Fascicularia bromeliad, which will flower in late summer, and again no protection. Another banana, which I'll come on to next week, and a palm here. This is Sebal minor, which is amazing. That's overwintered outside with no protection. Hardier plants, I've added some hemerocallis just for the flowers really. Obviously you can grow them anywhere really, they're daylily. But again, I just wanted a few hardy plants to add some colour. Another huge banana, which I'll mention in next week's talk. This is Curculigo crucipes, which grows in sea cliffs in the wild, so it feels very much at home here. And it has flower spikes, yellow, close to the base. This can actually tolerate a little bit of frost and snow, but of course it doesn't have much of that here. So another banana, which I'll mention in my next week's video, and some more hemerocallis. Got another fascicularia there, and you can see that did flower last summertime. That's fascicularia bicolour, excuse me, which is a type of bromeliad. This here, it looks a bit like an agave, but it's not. It's Phacrea. Very drought tolerant, very sharp spines, but it has a very tall flower spike and then has little plantlets growing along the flower spike that will get up to 2 to 3 metres tall when in flower. And again, amazingly, another Neoregelia bromeliad has survived outside with no protection. I just tidied that up eventually. We've tidied the old leaves up and the new pups will grow at the base and do amazingly well. So the fence here has been obviously painted a slate grey colour. It was originally unpainted, but I thought I'd spruce it up and give it a nice clean look. What we'll do now, we'll head back down to the lower level, have a look at the few plants down there. Obviously still a few more planting pockets I need to plant up in time. Amazingly, this Bilbergia cross windy eye overwintered outside too. I've just cut off the foliage which died back, but you can see there's a nice flower spike coming on that already. So this is the amazing cordyline indivisa with the orange midrib. You can only grow this in the mildest parts of the UK permanently outside, and it did overwinter outside in a pot, and I've recently planted it outside with minimum root disturbance because it actually hates having its roots disturbed, so I was very careful not to damage any of them when I planted that out. I've got a hardy dwarf shrub, one of my favourite ones, Pittosporum counterpart dwarf. You can see the new foliage is bright green, but then it changes to purple black, and you can see as well that it has purple flowers there with little yellow anthers. This is a rare palm called Raphidola stylis and sapida, and that will grow into a coconut looking type palm in many years to come. It's quite a slow growing palm, but that has a swollen base and that will look amazing. I'll just get a new pot for it shortly. Got a small Trachycarpus palm, and then my wonderful Brassiopsis mitis. I couldn't leave that behind in Birmingham, so I've brought that along with me with those lovely delicate foliage. Incredible shape. Also got a monstera which survived outside with no protection. It's defoliated but the stems are green, and so that will come back shortly. And then I've got a fern here, Pleobodium or Polypodium aureum. There is a little gardenia, and that is climbs hardy. I've then got Bilbergia nutans and Persicaria Compton's red, those gorgeous maroon chevrons. Amazingly, I've overwintered Begonia Masoniana outside with no protection. You can see that some new shoots coming up from the base. So I did have some new plant purchases last year. As you can see, they did suffer a bit with the cold, but they're now bouncing back from the base. This is Trevesia palmata, related to Fatsia, but with a snowflake leaf, and you can see that's coming back from the base. Also, a Brugmansia overwintered too. And finally, this bromeliad overwintered with no protection. This is Echmea gammasepala with bright blue and pink flowers. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed my latest video with my new exotic garden on the Isle of Wight. If you like my video, please do subscribe to my channel, and also I hope to see you next week with a video on my bananas which I grow, how I protect them in the winter time, and then also how do I look after them in the summertime with regards to watering and feeding. So thanks for watching, everybody, and look forward to seeing you next week. Cheers, bye.